Roots of wisdom. The sky was the color of a well-worn wrapper today. The kind of day that wraps the city in its folds like a lullaby. In a small village of Kola Town, where the whispers of ancestors danced like moonlight on palm leaves, Minatu sat beneath the ancient cotton tree, her weathered hands weaving stories older than the city's breath. Tea. The rootlets curled like storytellers' fingers, drawing up the soil's memory and exhaling it as memory's breath. The tree stood as a quiet drum, beating the pulse of history in slow, patient rhythm. If a city could hum a lullaby, this tree hummed it. Minatu's eyes, like two old moons, watched the world with a tenderness that only weathered wisdom can know. Her hair, a halo of silver threads, caught the glimmer of the day's last light like a halo around a wise moon. She wore a shawl that smelled faintly of earth and rain, a fabric stitched with the year's maps, recipes, lullabies, and the names of those long gone but never forgotten. Beneath the cotton tree, her weaving loom lay open, its threads looping like rivers that remember the contours of mountains. She breathed in the fragrance of dust and mango and the distant aroma of frying plantains. The air carried a whisper. The old stories are not dead. They have simply learned to whisper in new languages. Pick and weigh, now listen. Go here, Am, for Marque, she muttered. Her cadence slow and deliberate, as if each word were a seed being planted into waiting soil. Her eyes, bright as cola nuts, split in the palm, reflected generations of wisdom, the technology glinting. Loud, humming was slowly eroding, like waves against a sandy shore, eroding not the shore's strength, but its memory of what it once held. The village street tumbled in on itself, as if the whole city paused to listen to Minatu's quiet wisdom. In the distance, a chorus of voices, children's laughter, vendors bargaining in a pidgin of joy and necessity. A bus horn sighing like a tired old camel rose and fell in the soft air. The cotton tree's shade, wide enough to shelter a crowd, cradled the moment in a green embrace. Then came a presence. Young Amara, Minatu's grandson, with his smartphone clutched like a talisman. It screened a small, glowing sun in his hands. He stood at the edge of the shade, feet half in the shade, half in the glare of the digital world. His hair was neat, his clothes fresh, but his ears were plugged blue-lit corridors of sound pulsing through earbuds, as if the city's heartbeat were a bass line in his skull. His fingers danced over the glass with a fevered speed that reminded Minatu of nothing so much as the drummie's heartbeat at a long midnight celebration. He looked up for the briefest moment, then lowered his gaze again, absorbed by the glow. The elders' voices there, soft thunder appeared to him as a distant vibration, like a distant thunderstorm on a dry season day. Minatu watched him, not with anger but with a patient, motherly concern that has fed generations. She spoke, but not to scold. She spoke to remind, to invite, to soothe. Pick and weigh, no, listen. You hear him for market, she began, letting the phrase settle between them as a seed lands in fertile soil. You hear the markets, call hoes in hands, coin and courtesy, but listen not only with ear. Listen with heart. The market is a school where the teacher wears many hats. A mother with a basket full of plantains, a trader with a countenance of trust, a child with a question. Listen there. You will hear the ancestors' whispers in the clatter of trays and the clink of coins. Amara looked, with a half-smile, half-defiance, at the screen. The city's glow reflected in his eyes, more vividly than the sun's light on the cotton threads. He spoke without looking away from the phone, as if a screen could hold the entire universe. Grandma, he said softly, the market is loud, but it's not silent. There's a rhythm there, a tempo that tells you when to barter and when to laugh. I'm trying to learn. Minatu chuckled, a sound like rain on a tin roof, and waved a hand toward the cotton tree's trunk as if inviting the tree to join the dialogue. The tree hears every word you speak, she said, and every silence too. It doesn't mind that you love your phone. It's the heart your heart that must learn to listen to both drum and beep. Her voice reverberated with melody and parable, a thread weaving through time. The cotton tree seemed to lean closer, as if to listen. Its branches shifted with a faint sigh, and the leaves rustled with a language older than speech, a dialect of shade and memory. In that Russell was a proverb, a guiding star. The tree does not rise in a single year. It grows slowly, and its fruit comes in harvests. You could never time with a ruler. Minatu turned to Amara with a gaze both stern and tender, a surgeon's precision and a grandmother's warmth. Her words rose like smoke from a carefully tended fire, curling into the air, becoming metaphor and moral. Picken, you must learn the art of listening that isn't loud. A child who does not listen to the counsel of elders will walk the path of thorns. You think you are clever, but the cleverest mind is the one that can bend without breaking. Silence fell, thick and heavy as the scent of fried fish. It was a silence woven with unspoken truths, a tapestry of understanding that bound generations together. Minatu continued, her voice a soothing balm, the kind that mends wounds and warms chilled bones. The market is a place of commerce, yes, but also of communion. Every coin tossed is a prayer whispered. Every handshake echoes with the pact of trust. To truly hear these things, one must be still. Not the still of a statue, but the still of a listening heart. This is the lesson of the marketplace, my child. And in this lesson, the ancestors speak their wisdom. Her gaze, sharp and clear as the midday sun, held Amara's. She saw in him the city's anxieties, the pressures of a world that valued speed over substance, noise over nuance. She had seen such storms in the past, the relentless march of change that threatened to drown out the whispers of tradition. Yet here she was, rooted in the present while reaching back to the past, bridging the gap with her stories. Amara shifted, his gaze flickering between the phone screen and his grandmother's face. The silence stretched, taut with unspoken emotions. Finally, he spoke, his voice barely a whisper against the backdrop of the city's clamor. But how do I listen, Grandma, when everything is so loud? When the world keeps spinning faster and faster, how do I hear the whispers amidst the roar? His question hung in the air, a plea for guidance in a world that often seemed deaf to wisdom. Minatu reached out, her fingers tracing the lines on his palm, as if feeling the grooves of his soul. Close your eyes. Amara, she said softly, close your eyes and listen to the heartbeat of the city. Hear the buskers' song in the distance, the laughter of children playing, the banter of traders at their stalls. Do you eat? All these sounds tell stories. Open your heart to them, and you will find the ancestors speaking to you in the language of life. He closed his eyes, and for a moment, the cacophony faded. Through the thin veil of his eyelids, he saw visions of his heritage dancing in the vibrant hues of the marketplace. He heard the rhythmic chants of fishermen hauling in their nets, the comforting murmur of women pounding yam, the lilting melodies of griots singing tales of old. When he opened his eyes, they were filled with wonder. I hear them, Grandma, he whispered, his voice trembling with emotion. I hear these stories, the whispers of our past. I just didn't know how to listen before. A smile, as warm and radiant as the midday sun, spread across Minatu's face. That is the first step, Amara, she said, her voice filled with pride. To listen, to hear, and to understand. Now, go to the market, my child. Go and immerse yourself in the symphony of life. Go and learn the language of our ancestors in the marketplace of today. And so, armed with newfound awareness, Amara stepped out of the comforting shade of the cotton tree and into the bustling marketplace. As he walked, he felt the vibrations of the city beneath his feet, the pulse of life all around him. Each step was a beat in the rhythm of the city, each interaction a note in the symphony of human existence. He listened to the vendors calling out their wares, to the haggling over prices, to the laughter and chatter of shoppers. And in the midst of the noise, he heard the whispers of his ancestors, their stories echoing through the ages. He understood now that the marketplace was not just a place of commerce, but a living, breathing testament to his heritage. It was a space where the past and the present intertwined, where the whispers of his ancestors mingled with the voices of the living. And he, Amara, was a part of this grand tapestry, a link in the chain that connected generations past, present, and future. With this realization, Amara walked into the heart of the marketplace, ready to learn the timeless lessons of his heritage, ready to listen to the whispers of his ancestors in the bustling marketplace of the modern day. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more.